Welcome to House of Horrors, where true stories and unexplained events come alive. From the silent deserts of New Mexico, abandoned towns, and forgotten roads, these are real horror cases that still have no answers. Tonight's story is one of them. Before we begin, tell us in the comments where you are watching from, and what time it is there right now. Turn off the lights. Turn up the volume. And step inside. The House of Horrors. New Mexico's forests stretch across millions of acres. Dense ponderosa pines. Steep canyon walls. Roads that disappear into wilderness. Most people who visit these places leave with nothing but photos and memories. But some people leave with something else. Something they can't explain. These are 5 experiences shared by people who encountered something in New Mexico's forests that they're still trying to understand. The Carson National Forest Hiker. I've been hiking the Carson National Forest trails for over a decade. I know the terrain. I know the wildlife patterns. And I know when something feels wrong. Last September, I took the trail near Williams Lake just after dawn. The weather was perfect. Clear skies. Temperatures in the 60s. The kind of morning that reminds you why you moved to New Mexico in the first place. I planned a 12-mile loop. Nothing extreme. Just a solid day hike to clear my head before the work week started. The first hour was exactly what I expected. Birds calling to each other. Chipmunks starting across the trail. The smell of pine sap warming in the early sun. About 2 miles in, everything changed. The forest went completely silent. Not gradually. Not the natural quiet that comes when you stop making noise yourself. This was instant. Total. Like someone had pressed a mute button on the entire forest. No birds. No insects. No wind moving through the trees. Just the absence of sound. I stopped walking and stood still, listening. My own breathing sounded too loud. I could hear my heartbeat clearly in my ears. That's when I heard footsteps behind me, not animal footsteps. Human footsteps. Boots on dirt and loose stone. Heavy. Deliberate. About 30 feet back. I turned around. The trail behind me was empty. Nothing but ponderosa pines and patches of sunlight on the forest floor. I waited. Listened. The footsteps had stopped when I stopped. I took a few steps forward. The footsteps resumed. Same pace. Same distance. I stopped again. They stopped. At first, I thought someone was messing with me. Maybe a local who recognized me. Maybe someone from town pulling a prank. But the timing was too perfect. And the silence made it impossible for someone to hide that well. I called out. Asked if anyone was there. My voice didn't carry the way it should have. It felt absorbed by the trees. Flat. Muted. No response came back. I kept walking, faster now. The footsteps matched my pace. When I jogged, they jogged. When I slowed down, they slowed down. This went on for nearly a mile. My heart was pounding. Not from exertion. From something deeper, that instinct every human recognizes. The feeling of being hunted. I reached a small clearing and stopped in the center, where I could see in all directions. I shouted back toward the trail. Demanded to know who was following me. Asked if they needed help. Asked if they were lost. My voice still sounded wrong. Dead in the air. No answer came. But then I heard breathing. Slow. Steady. Deep, maybe 40 feet behind me. Not rushed. Not strained. Just calm, rhythmic breathing. Like someone who had been walking this whole time without effort. I turned around with my phone raised, ready to record. I wanted proof. Evidence. The trail was empty. The forest was still silent. No birds. No wind. No explanation. I scanned the tree line. Looked for movement. For a shadow that didn't belong. Nothing. But the breathing continued, in. Out. In. Out. Steady as a metronome. That's when I decided I was done. I pulled up my GPS and found an alternate route back to the trailhead. Steeper. Shorter. I started moving fast. Almost running. The footsteps didn't follow me on the new trail. Within minutes, the forest sounds returned. Birds calling again. Wind moving through the branches. It felt like crossing an invisible boundary back into the normal world. I didn't slow down until I saw the parking area through the trees. My car was the only vehicle there. Just like when I arrived. I was shaking as I pulled out my keys. That's when I saw it. A boot print in the dust on my hood. Fresh. The dust was still settling around the edges. Clear tread pattern. Big. Men's 11 or 12. I looked around the lot. No one else there. No new tire tracks on the road. I had been gone less than 3 hours. And the trail never intersected with the parking area. There was no way someone could have reached my car without me seeing them. I took photos of the print. Then brushed it off and got in. As I pulled away, I checked my rearview mirror one last time. At the edge of the tree line, about 50 yards back, I saw something. A shape. Roughly human-sized. Standing perfectly still. Watching me leave. I didn't stop driving until I reached the main highway. I haven't been back to that trail since. The photos of the boot print are still on my phone. I look at them sometimes. The tread pattern doesn't match any hiking boot I've been able to find. And when I zoom in on the photo of the trail behind my car, there's something there. Just barely visible in the shadows. It might be nothing. A trick of light. But every time I look at it, I'm grateful I decided to leave when I did. The Gila Wilderness Ranger. I worked as a seasonal ranger in the Gila Wilderness for 3 summers. Most of my job was routine. Trail maintenance. Helping lost hikers. Standard stuff. Checking permits. Making sure people carried enough water. Occasionally assisting someone who twisted an ankle or underestimated the terrain. The Gila is serious wilderness. Over 500,000 acres. Some of the most remote country in New Mexico. People get into trouble out there if they're not prepared. During my second year, I started receiving reports about a specific area near the Middle Fork of the Gila River. Nothing dramatic at first. Just hikers saying they felt uncomfortable. Said they felt watched. Said they heard voices that didn't match their group size. One couple reported hearing a child laughing near their campsite at 2 in the morning. They were certain. Both of them heard it clearly. A child's laughter. High and clear. Coming from the darkness just beyond their campfire. They called out. Asked if someone was there. Asked if a child was lost. The laughter stopped immediately. They searched the area with flashlights. Found nothing. When they reported it at the ranger station, I checked the permits. There were no other campers registered in that zone. No children listed anywhere within 15 miles. The couple seemed credible. Experienced campers. Not the type to exaggerate. They knew the difference between wildlife sounds and human voices. After 3 more reports came in from the same area, my supervisor asked me to investigate. I hiked out on a Tuesday in late August. I took the Middle Fork Trail and planned to camp near where the incidents had been reported. At first, everything seemed normal. Typical forest. Typical wildlife. Deer tracks. Bird activity. Nothing unusual. But as the sun started to set, I noticed something off. Trees with markings. Symbols carved into the bark, not 1 or 2. Dozens. spread across roughly a quarter-mile area. The symbols were crude but deliberate. Some looked like circles with lines through them. Others resembled branching patterns. None of them matched anything I recognized. I'd studied indigenous markings as part of my training. These weren't Mogolone. They weren't Apache. They weren't Forest Service trail markers. They weren't anything official. And they weren't old. The cuts were recent. Some still leaking sap. Someone had carved them within the last few weeks. I photographed each one. Logged their locations on my GPS. The entire time, the forest felt wrong. Not quiet. There were normal sounds. Birds. Wind. Water moving through the creek, but it felt like the forest was holding its breath. I continued toward the reported campsite. That's when I heard it. A voice. Clear and unmistakable. Calling my name. Marcus. It sounded exactly like my supervisor. Same tone. Same inflection he used when calling me over the radio. But my radio had been silent all day. I'd checked it twice. And my supervisor was 40 miles away at the station. I stopped walking and keyed my radio. "This is Marcus. Say again." Static. Nothing else. I waited. "Marcus." The voice came again. From a different direction. Off to my left. Same voice. Perfect match. I called back. Asked for his position. Asked what he needed. The radio stayed silent. Then the voice called my name again. From behind me. Then from my right. Then from ahead of me. My name echoed through the forest from 4 different directions. Each time in my supervisor's voice. Each time perfectly clear. I stopped responding. Stopped moving. Just stood there, trying to understand what was happening. The voices continued for maybe 2 minutes. Never saying anything else. Just my name. Then they stopped. The forest returned to normal. Birds. Wind. Water. I marked my position on the GPS. Took one last look around. Then I turned back toward the trailhead. I didn't run. I didn't panic. But I moved with purpose. Hand on my radio. Eyes locked on the trail. The voices didn't return. I reached my truck just after full dark and drove straight to the station. My supervisor was there, doing paperwork. His radio sat on the desk beside him. I asked if he'd tried to reach me. Asked if his radio had been working. He looked confused. Said no. Said his radio had been malfunctioning all day. Couldn't transmit or receive. Planned to get it fixed in the morning. I filed my report that night. Included the photos. The GPS coordinates. Everything except the voices. I don't know why I left that out. Maybe I didn't want to sound unstable. Maybe I wanted to keep my job. A week later, I was reassigned to a different section. No explanation. Just new patrol routes. New trails. My supervisor said it came from higher up. Regional office. Routine rotation, they said. I didn't push it. Later, I heard they sent a team into that area. Multiple rangers. They documented the symbols. Sent the photos to a university. The official report said it was probably vandalism. Bored hikers. Nothing significant. But they closed that section of trail for the rest of the season. Maintenance issues. That's what the signs said. I finished that summer. Returned for one more season the next year. But I never went back near the Middle Fork. And I never heard my name called like that again. Sometimes, when I'm trying to sleep, I think about those symbols. About what someone was marking. or warning about. And I wonder if my supervisor's radio was really broken that day. Or if something else was preventing him from hearing me when I called for help. The Santa Fe National Forest cabin. My family rented a cabin near the Pecos Wilderness in January. We'd been planning the trip for months. A winter retreat away from the city. My wife and I, our daughter, home from college, my brother and his wife. The cabin was exactly what we wanted. Remote. Wood stove. No cell service. The nearest neighbor was about 3 miles down a forest road. The listing was very clear. No Wi-Fi. No television. Limited electricity from a generator. That was the point. We wanted to disconnect. We wanted quiet. The drive up was beautiful. Snow on the pine trees. Clear blue sky. We arrived Friday afternoon. Spent the evening settling in. Cooking dinner. Playing cards. That first night was peaceful. Cold outside. Warm by the fire. We slept well. Saturday morning brought fresh snow. We made breakfast together. The day passed slowly. A short hike. Building a snowman. Reading books. Everything felt right. Saturday night, we stayed up late playing board games. Finally went to bed around midnight. My wife and I took the master bedroom on the ground floor. The window faced the forest. I fell asleep quickly. The kind of deep sleep you get in cold, quiet places. My wife woke me around 3 in the morning. She was sitting upright. Completely still. Staring at the window. I asked what was wrong. She didn't look at me. "There's someone outside our window," she whispered. I sat up and looked. The curtains were open. We'd left them that way to see the snow and moonlight. I couldn't see anything. Just darkness. Tree shapes. Snow. "I don't see anyone," I said. "He's standing right there," she said. "He's been there for at least 5 minutes." Her voice was calm. Too calm. Her hand was gripping my arm hard enough to hurt. I got out of bed and moved slowly toward the window. The moonlight was bright enough to see clearly. There was nothing there. No person. No animal. "Honey, there's nobody." "He's right there," she said. Tall. Dark coat. Just standing there. Looking in. I pressed my face close to the glass. Checked every angle. Nothing. But my wife was certain. And she's not someone who imagines things. I grabbed the small flashlight from the nightstand. Told her I was going outside. She begged me not to. But I couldn't ignore how sure she was. I put on my boots and coat. Grabbed the larger flashlight from the kitchen. Opened the front door quietly. The cold hit immediately. Teens. Maybe lower. I walked around to our bedroom window. Swept the flashlight across the ground. Fresh snow. Undisturbed. No footprints. No tracks near the window. I checked the entire cabin. Every wall. Every window. The generator shed. Nothing. I went back inside. My wife was still sitting up. I told her what I'd seen. Or hadn't seen. She nodded slowly. "I saw him," she said. "I know I did." We tried to sleep. Closed the curtains. Neither of us really did. About an hour later, we both heard it. Footsteps on the roof. Slow. Deliberate. Heavy enough to make the boards creak. Walking from one end of the cabin to the other. Then stopping. Directly above our bed. We sat up and stared at the ceiling. The footsteps started again. Pacing back and forth. I got up and went to wake my brother. He and his wife were already awake. They'd heard it too. Our daughter was standing in the hallway. "What is that?" she asked. I told everyone to stay inside. Then I grabbed the flashlight and went back out. There was no ladder. No easy way to reach the roof. You'd have to climb up from the generator shed. And that would leave marks in the snow. I checked everywhere again. No ladder. No footprints near the walls. But I could still hear it. Weight shifting. Creaking boards. Standing outside, it was clearer. Someone was definitely up there. I shouted. Told whoever it was to come down. Said I was calling the sheriff. An empty threat. We had no cell service. The footsteps stopped. Instantly. Silence. Just wind in the trees. We stayed in the living room with the lights on until morning. No one slept. At sunrise, I went back outside. I moved the generator shed closer and climbed up. It took time. Careful, slow movements. When I pulled myself onto the roof, I saw it immediately. A perfect circle of melted snow. About 6 feet across. Directly above our bed. The shingles were dry. Warm to the touch. Not hot. But warm. The rest of the roof was untouched. Snow everywhere. No footprints. Just that circle. I took photos. Checked for damage. Nothing wrong. No explanation. We packed within the hour. Didn't clean. Didn't finish breakfast. Just left. When we got cell service, I called the rental company. Left a message. They never called back. I tried again the next day. The number was disconnected. The listing was gone. Still in my booking history. But the property link was dead. My brother suggested calling the sheriff. But what would we say? That someone stood on our roof without leaving tracks? That snow melted in a perfect circle? We sounded crazy even to ourselves. I still have the photos. When you zoom in, the melted area isn't random. There's a shape to it. Like something pressed down. Something with weight. But not feet. Not anything I recognize. My wife still struggles to sleep. She says she sees that figure sometimes. Outside other windows. Our daughter went back to school early. My brother doesn't talk about it. But during holidays, I catch him watching the windows after dark. Making sure nothing is standing outside. Making sure we're alone. The Forest Road driver. I drive a delivery route that cuts through the Cibola National Forest 3 days a week. I've been doing it for almost 6 years. It's a long route. Takes most of the day. But I prefer it to city driving. Long stretches of empty road. Few buildings. Even fewer people. Just me, the forest, and whatever's on the radio. The route runs through about 40 miles of national forest. 2-lane road. Well maintained. But remote. I see wildlife all the time. Deer. Elk. Once, a black bear crossing the road. You learn the patterns. Where animals cross. When they're most active. You learn which turns are sharp. Which sections freeze first in winter. After 6 years, I could drive that route without thinking about it. Last October, I was making my usual run just before sunset. I had a few stops left after the forest section. Wanted to finish before full dark. The sun was low. Long shadows stretched across the pavement. The temperature was dropping. I was on a straight stretch. Good visibility. No other vehicles for miles. Coming around a gentle curve, I saw someone standing in the middle of the road. A woman. Wearing a dress. She was just standing there, facing my truck. Not moving. Not reacting to the engine. I hit the brakes hard. The truck slowed gradually under its own weight. I stopped about 20 feet from her. She didn't move. Didn't step aside. Didn't flinch at the headlights. She just stood there, arms at her sides, staring straight through my windshield. I waited for her to react. Maybe she was disoriented. Maybe she'd been in an accident. I honked twice. Short taps. Nothing. She didn't even blink. In the headlights, I could see her clearly. The dress was light-colored. White or cream. Long sleeves. Modest. The kind of dress you'd wear to church. But her feet were bare. On cold pavement. And her hair was wet. Like she'd just stepped out of a shower. I rolled down my window. Cold air rushed in. "Ma'am," I said. "Are you okay? Do you need help?" She didn't respond. Didn't acknowledge my voice. Her expression was blank. No fear. No confusion. Nothing. I put the truck in park. Left the engine running. Reached for my phone. No signal. That stretch of road never had any. I'd have to drive back to town. Or forward to my next stop. But I couldn't just leave her there. I looked up from my phone. She was gone. Not walking away. Not running into the trees, just gone. The road was empty. I stared at the pavement, trying to understand what I'd just seen. Maybe she'd collapsed. Maybe I looked down longer than I thought. I opened the door to get out and check the area. That's when I glanced at my side mirror. She was standing directly behind my truck. Same posture. Same dress. Same wet hair. Bare feet on the pavement. She was staring straight at my reflection. Meeting my eyes. My heart stopped. I didn't think. I slammed the door shut. Put the truck in drive. Swerved forward and accelerated. As I passed the spot where she'd been standing, there was nothing there. I checked the mirror again. The road behind me was empty. No woman. No movement. Just pavement and shadows. I drove straight to my next stop without slowing down. Hands shaking on the wheel. Checking the mirrors every few seconds. When I arrived, I sat in the truck for 10 minutes. Just breathing. Trying to calm down. I finished my route and returned to the depot. My supervisor was still there, doing paperwork. I told him everything. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he opened a filing cabinet. Pulled out an old report. 2 years old. Another driver. Different name. But the description was the same. Same road. Same time of day. Same woman. Same blank stare. Same disappearance. The report had a note attached. Local authorities had been contacted. No missing persons. No accidents. The conclusion said the driver probably mistook a deer or elk for a person. Case closed. My supervisor asked if I wanted to file an official report. I said yes. He started filling out the form. Then stopped. "You sure you want this in your file?" he asked. "Some people might think you're not fit to drive." I knew what he meant. This could cost me my job. But I knew what I saw. I told him to file it. He did. Then he told me something else. He'd driven that route in the 90s. Before territories changed. He'd seen her too. Same woman. Same dress. He'd reported it. They sent him to a company doctor. Vision tests. Psych evaluation. He passed everything. But they took him off the route. "That section of road," he said. "Something's not right there." He offered me a route change. No penalty. No record. I thought about it. Good hours. Good pay. I didn't want to admit I was scared. I kept the route. That was 2 months ago. I still drive it 3 times a week. I haven't seen her again. But there's something else. Right where she stood. The pavement is darker there. Like a stain. It's been there for years. You can see it on satellite images. The stain is shaped like a person. Arms at their sides. Facing north. I looked up the road's history. Found a newspaper article from 1987. A woman was killed there. Hit by a logging truck. Walking home in the evening. The article described what she was wearing. A white dress. Coming from church. Her name was Lisa Cordova. 28 years old. Her car had broken down. She was barefoot because her shoes hurt her feet. She'd taken them off. The accident happened in October. Almost exactly 37 years before I saw her. I drive past that spot all the time now. I don't slow down. I don't look too closely. And I never, ever drive that stretch after dark. The trail maintenance crew. I worked on a trail maintenance crew in the Lincoln National Forest last spring. It was a temporary position. 6-month contract. Deferred maintenance projects. There were 4 of us. 2 experienced guys. 2 of us who were new. The work was hard, but simple. Clearing fallen trees. Repairing erosion damage. Rebuilding rock cairns. We spent weeks in the backcountry. Camping at different locations. Working from dawn to dusk. It was good work. Physical. Meaningful. Away from everything. In late April, we were assigned to a remote section that hadn't been maintained in over 3 years. Budget cuts. Staff shortages. The usual reasons. The trail was in bad shape. Heavy overgrowth. Multiple washouts from spring runoff. In some places, it barely looked like a trail at all. We packed in for what we expected to be a 2-week project. Set up base camp about a mile from the trailhead. The first day was just assessment. Surveying damage. Marking problem areas. Planning the work. On the second day, we were about 3 miles in when we found something unusual. A campsite. Deep in the forest. Far from any established trail. We almost missed it. It was tucked back in the trees. Intentionally hidden. Our crew leader spotted the tent through the branches. We approached carefully. Called out to announce ourselves. No response. The site wasn't abandoned. The tent was still standing. Modern. Lightweight. High quality. Inside was a sleeping bag. Still rolled. Still in its stuff sack. Supplies were laid out on a tarp. Neatly organized. Food in bear-proof containers. Water filtration system. Solar charger. Everything clean. Everything deliberate. But no one was there. No voices. No movement. No sounds nearby. We called out again. Louder. Waited. Listened. Nothing but wind in the trees, birds calling. Our crew leader decided we should wait. Maybe someone was day hiking from the camp. We sat about 50 yards away. Ate lunch. Waited an hour. No one came back. What made it unsettling was how prepared the site was. This wasn't casual camping. There was weeks' worth of food. Dehydrated. Vacuum sealed. Multiple water containers. Medical kit. Repair supplies. But no personal items. No ID. No phone. No photos. No books. No entertainment at all. Just survival gear. Methodically arranged. And there was no vehicle at the trailhead. We'd been the only truck there. Which meant whoever set this up had carried everything in. Miles off trail. Through rough terrain. That's a serious commitment. Our crew leader decided we needed to report it. Someone camping that far off trail. Without a permit. Possibly in trouble. As he took GPS coordinates, our youngest crew member noticed something. A notebook. Tucked under the sleeping bag inside the tent. He asked if we should look inside. Our leader hesitated. Privacy mattered. But safety mattered more. He opened the notebook. Every page was filled with coordinates. Dozens of them. All within the Lincoln National Forest. All remote locations. Each entry had a date. Some had times. The dates went back 6 months. Every few days. Some entries had notes. Short phrases. Day 14, heard it again. Day 23, they don't follow past the creek. Day 31, found 3 more markers. Day 45, pattern confirmed. Day 52, moved camp, too close. Toward the end, the writing changed. More frequent entries. Messier. Urgent, they know when I'm watching. Can't use the same route twice. Sound carries differently here. Not random, definitely not random. The last entry was dated 2 days before we found the camp. It read, moving to secondary location. They know this one now. Below it were more coordinates. And a time, 3 in the morning. Our crew leader closed the notebook. Looked at all of us. We're reporting this today, he said. We hike out right now. He photographed everything. The tent. The supplies. The notebook pages. Logged the GPS location. We packed up and hiked back to the trailhead. Drove straight to the ranger station. Showed them everything. The ranger on duty took it seriously. Called in 2 others. They decided to investigate immediately. Asked us to guide them back. We returned to the trailhead and hiked in together. It took about 90 minutes. When we reached the site, it was gone. Completely gone. No tent. No supplies. No sleeping bag. No sign anyone had ever been there. The ground wasn't compressed. No disturbed pine needles. The tarp area showed no marks. No recent disturbance. It was as if the campsite had never existed. But our photos were clear. Time-stamped. Geotagged. The rangers searched for 2 hours. Expanding outward. They found nothing. No tracks. No signs of someone hauling gear through the forest. One ranger checked the secondary location from the notebook. 8 miles away. No trails. Rough terrain. They planned to check it the next day. We returned to base camp that night. No one slept well. The next morning, the rangers told us the secondary location was empty. No campsite. No evidence of human activity. They ran the coordinates through reports. Several matched places where hikers had reported strange experiences. Feeling watched. Unexplained sounds. Equipment malfunctioning. Nothing dramatic on its own. But someone had been tracking them. Systematically. The rangers told us to finish our work. and not discuss what we'd found. Officially, it was an abandoned campsite. That was all. We finished the job in 10 days instead of 2 weeks. Worked longer hours. No one wanted to stay out there. I left the crew at the end of the season. Took a job in Albuquerque. Different work. But I still think about that campsite. About the notebook. About someone spending 6 months tracking coordinates. Watching. Recording patterns. Moving when they got too close. I checked some of the coordinates on satellite images last month. Most looked like nothing. Just forest. But 3 of them were near old ruins. Ancestral Puebloan. So guys, thanks for watching House of Horrors. If you enjoyed this descent into darkness, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell, so you never miss another nightmare. Signing off.